Hey everybody, for those of you that don't know, my name's Hoopy, and today in the shop we're going to be working on this piece of junk Chevy back here. And what you're looking at with this gem here is a 89 Chevy Cheyenne 2500. And even though this thing's an old clapped out shit box, it only has an original 67,000 miles on it. So this clapped out old thing here behind me happens to belong to my grandfather. He uses it to haul junk. As you can tell by this old thing, it is in nowhere near mint condition. But what we're going to be attempting to do is fix the frame for him, at least good enough that he can haul some more junk. And as you can see, she's broke clear in two right here. Just right in front of the spring shackle. And it looks like behind the spring shackle might be cracked. I can't really tell. So just due to the condition of this old truck, this is not going to be a me fix it right job. This is going to be a me get it back up and going job. So I'm going to make it work some way, one way or another. But the first thing to do to this old thing is going to be to get this bed off here, because we can't work on it with a bed on it. So I'm going to work on yanking the bed liner out, unbolting this rack, and trying to probably unbolt this bed. I'm not real sure about Chevy beds. Haven't really screwed with them much. I don't know if they're like Fords, if the bolts go through the top or not. So I'm gonna find out. But real quick here, I yanked this bed liner up, and there ain't no bolts under there. So the bolts come up from the bottom, which is gonna be lovely. So the one front bolt up there come out with the impact. This one here, I've got my big 1/2-inch proto ratchet on it. I'm getting ready to stick this freaking cheater pipe on there. And we're going to see if we can make something happen, because I can't get the impact to that one. But it's going. Something's happening. This is going to take a while. Ironically enough, this truck belongs to my grandfather, who's the son of my great-grandfather that gave me this 1/2-inch drive proto ratchet a long time ago. This bolt is in the dumbest spot it could possibly be. Leave it to some dumb GM engineer to do this junk. Right there. Right above the spring shackle. This is all you can get to it with, a ratchet. The impact ain't happening. Well, that bolt there was coming, and then it got tight, and then it gave up. So, let me show you the next predicament I got. That bolt right there, out there is pretty easy right up here. Where's it at? In that hole right over there. It come right down and out there. Now this one should have been easy. Should have been real easy. Whoever put this hitch on here, put 3-inch, 1x3 spacer blocks in it. And do you see an issue with that hole as to why I can't get to the bolt? Funny thing is, these blocks are offset with the holes in them. All I had to do is put these on the other direction. It would have been fine. So I'm going to take the plasma cutter, and I'm going to go ahead and clearance this for myself, so I can get up in here and get this bolt out. I tried to pull this one out with the impact, and it just rattled. It wouldn't even touch it. So, plasma cutter for the win. Alright, that there ought to work. That'll at least let me get the extension up in there to that bolt on both sides. So after I went through all that, plasma cutting holes up in there and everything, the J-nuts ended up being rotted off of it. So I'm probably going to have to torch the bolts off, or maybe even the tip of the frame. I mean, I really don't care at this point. So there's one over here on this side that I had to use a ratchet for on that side. I was able to get the impact on it only because the frame is so bad. I actually was pried it over out of my way, and I could run an extension up through here. Well, as a matter of fact, I'll show you what I had. I had this extension, this wobble joint with that extension and that socket, and that allowed me to pull that bolt from that hole up there down through the spring shackle. But that's all the bed bolts now. Well, correction, I've still got to get the back two out, but I got to cut them off. So on this side here, I was actually able to shove a 7/8 wrench up in there and get onto the what was left of this J nut or whatever, and got that bolt to come out. And this side here, I then realized that there was nothing left holding it in there anyhow. It'll just pop up off there. So all the bed bolts are out. All right, I'm gonna chain the tractor off to the bed of this thing, and I'm gonna try to pick it up off here with this ladder rack. We'll see what happens. All right, so while this thing's out here in the driveway, I believe me and my daughter are gonna get some hammers and just beat the hell out of this frame and knock all this rust off so it's out here. Well, got it cleaned off somewhat. This whole grill's in pretty rough shape. This side's not, I mean, the whole thing's bad, but this side's not near as bad as the other side. It's rotted out inside this spring hanger and everything like that. Both sides, the rear main leaf is cracked across here. That doesn't really matter because the weight sits down on this. The only time that has any weight on it is if you pick it up by the frame and let the axle hang. That's not a real concern. I can take a piece of flat strap, wrap around here and weld to it, call it good. Back sections of the frame ain't great, doesn't really matter. I can reinforce it a little bit if he's going to use the hitch. This side is where everything went real bad. The spring hanger itself's gone. The inside of the frame is ate out. This, it's cracked. Clear up around this right here is the only thing holding it on this side. So, yeah, this is what's going to be some work. Luckily, it actually looks like these gas tank straps have been replaced not long ago. Hopefully, we'll be able to drop this tank out, get it out of our way. You can see it had a new sending unit put in it. So, we might have that in our favor. All right, back on the frame on that 89 Chevy. I went outside and I took this. I made me a template out of the side that's not completely broke. And I'm just going to trace this on this piece of steel here. And we're going to cut her out with a plasma cutter. And then I'll go ahead and cut out a second one because it should be the same on both sides. See, the passenger side of the frame is the, we're going to call it good side. It's still Swiss cheese, but it's not broken in half completely yet. And see, it fits inside there. There's two bolts that come up from the bottom right here that are in the way of letting it slide back in there, but that's going to fit. And that side over there should match this side if I cut out another one. So we'll go ahead and cut out one more of these and we should be ready to go then. And like that, we got both our patch plates cut out here. So we'll, once we get the garage cleared back out, kind of got a few projects. Man, it's smoky in here. Once we get this stuff cleared back out of here, we'll pull it back in and start on that. All right, we're back on this shitty old Chevy here, and well, we're getting ready to go ahead and just start doing some welding and get this thing back on the road. Again, this is a freebie job, 100% free, so I can't put any money into it really. So we're gonna weld these leaf springs up right here where they're cracked. Both sides are like that. We'll weld them across, put a strap across them, and then we're going to go up there and start on where the frame's cracked at. I forgot to hit play before I welded that crack up, but them welds are ugly anyhow. I had to grind them down some. They kept, I kept missing it because I couldn't hardly see it. But I'm going to go ahead and I got this piece of, it's like 1/4 inch thick, about 1/2 inch wide, and I'm just going to weld it and bend it around here, just so that it's got something to help hold that on there. It ain't great, but it's better than nothing. I'm gonna go ahead and do this side real quick and be done with this. It's far from perfect, but this side did turn out a lot better than the other side. So, but that part's done. At least this is kind of contained here now at this point. It's an old junk truck, not too worried about it. and I went ahead and yanked the gas tank out of there. Nothing to see there. 2 bolts and unplugged some lines, and out it come. So we got that done, and I'm getting ready to go ahead and plasma these rivets off here on both sides. On this side over here, again, this is an old junk truck. We're trying to save money. It's not worth putting money into, really. This spring hanger is pretty damaged. You can see I went ahead and lobbed this corner out because it was all rusted out. The rest of this metal is pretty solid still. I'm going to cut me a piece of an 1/8" plate in a triangle shape like that. And we're going to go ahead and weld that in there just so it holds that hanger. Then we can cut them rivets and get this frame down where we need it. This here's the plate I cut out. Just gonna weld her on here, right like so. And that ought to take care of that issue. So, I went ahead and jacked the ass of this thing up to get this frame to raise back up and get the leaf springs to come down off of it. Drove the rivets out. On the inside here, if you look where it's cracked, I went ahead and lined it up, and I've got it just touching each other right here. And I'm going to go ahead and weld this back together just so that it'll hold itself from doing anything stupid like spreading or going together more until we get our plate in here and get the holes and everything done. Whew, man, for doing nothing, that's a lot of work. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the plates in here. We're gonna test fit them in, and we're gonna mark our holes that we've got a torch or drill or whatever we need to get the bolts through. And then we've got to figure out where we're gonna bolt the other ones to the good parts of the frame. And by good parts of the frame, I mean back into here and down into there on both sides, because the frame is actually decent. I'm not going to call it good, but it's decent. But here's what I cobble patched up over here. There was a crack here. These 2 pieces actually met back together. I welded that crack on the inside, and it looks like hell, but it's all rusty. It's hard to get through. I welded down in here, so it ought to help it. Alright, I got that thing slid up in there where I wanted it. And right here's where it stops. Right here's where it starts. So I'm thinking 4 holes right in here. And 4 holes right in here. And that'll allow me to bolt that in. Bolt the leaf spring perch back up to it as well. Alright, I got all 8 of my holes drilled out to 1/2 inch. I took a marker and marked them on here, and then took a white out and went over them so I could actually see them. Now we just got to punch those out. I'll probably do that tomorrow. It's like 9 o'clock at night right now, so I'm done for tonight. So, I started to attempt to drill holes in this, and then after ruining 2 drill bits, I come to the realization that the piece of scrap steel that I had laying around here happens to be AR plate. So I'm getting ready to torch these holes in here. So to make sure that I can cut out some actual decent holes, I took this piece of scrap cut off I had here and a piece of 1-inch pipe, and I cut it down and made me a little jig that I can sit over these holes and take the plasma torch and go around. So this way it cuts me out a pretty decent circle there. Honestly, that there didn't turn out too bad at all for plasma and those holes in there. It ought to work. We're going to fit her up in there and see. Alright, there's all the bolts stuck in there on this side. Clearly I'm not bolting it like that because this has to go back up there. But I got to get the other side done so I can put them up together. But yeah, that'll work out just fine and dandy. And that'll take care of this issue with this frame, at least for a little while. Alright, I got both plates loosely bolted inside the frame. We're going to go ahead and jack the rear end back up, get these things to slide back up in here and put the bolts in them. All right, everything's bolted up tight. Everything fit good. On the passenger side, I didn't waste my time putting 4 bolts on each end of this because this side of the frame was actually still together. It's just got some holes in it here. So I'm not too worried. That there will take care of that. That'll outlast this truck. So we've got it all bolted up tight. We're going to let the jack out from underneath the rear end, make sure it holds it here on the frame. Then we're going to let the jack off that frame and see and make sure that this doesn't sag. And yeah. All right, removing the jack from the frame. Everything came down evenly. This thing's sitting level like it's supposed to. It's not up on this side because where the frame was broke, well, technically, I guess at this point it would have been down, and it's not. It's sitting level across there. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get the gas tank back up in this thing and go from there. Well, sat it down on there, had a little mishap there at the end, but anyhow, we'll pull it in here and get it leveled back out and bolted down. Well, there we go. This old Chevy's all buttoned back up. She starts, runs, drives, stops. I don't know what more else you want from it. It's ready to go and haul junk back down the road. Literally, that's what it's used for. It's just to haul junk. So, be able to haul a few more loads before it's got to go to the scrap yard itself. So if you guys like videos like this, go check out the rest of my channel. Thanks for watching.